What's going on, guys? It's Frito here for your Overwatch live reporting from the Blizzard offices. It's gone full SpongeBob meme down here, fellas. The PR and communication team is running in circles trying to damage control the announcement of the cancellation of the actual PvE to be downgraded into a shell of its former self. Today, we got a blog post from Keller trying to help control the message and let us know the things we actually are getting and giving us some big insights into the development of the game. Here's the blog post, Director's Take, reflecting on the future of Overwatch 2. Hey all, it's been an emotional week in the world of Overwatch. A few days ago, we talked about our change in approach to PvE in Overwatch 2 and released a high-level roadmap for the year. We're really excited for everything we'll be launching soon, but much of the discussion this week has been about how we're canceling PvE outright, which isn't accurate. So I want to take some time to discuss some of that with you here. Guys, I'm going to be real with you. Terminology matters on this kind of thing. Call it a co-op campaign. Why not that? No. They want to redefine the sequel and redefine PvE. Real gamers know PvE is a term used for replayable RPG games, not for campaigns, not for co-op missions. You don't say Teenage Mutant Turtles Shredder's Revenge has a PvE. You don't say Super Smash Brothers has a PvE and a PvP. Those terms are RPG terms. We know it. We say story mode, campaign, multiplayer, competitive. Blizzard is really trying to gaslight all of you into believing that they can just switch it around and redefine the sequel and redefine PvE, redefine everything. All right, back to the blog post. When we announced Overwatch 2 in 2019, the idea of the game was surrounded around the PvP game we released last October, aka an update to the PvP game they already had, and the PvE side story and hero missions. And here they'll break down each one of those. Story missions focus on fast-paced co-op gameplay, as well as story, cinematics, and cutscenes that expand the world of Overwatch. Story missions tell a linear narrative about the heroes of Overwatch reuniting and battling the new Null Sector threat, pushing the story of Overwatch forward, or let's say beginning it pretty much, for the first time since our original game released. These missions take place on huge maps with new enemies and new cinematics. We will begin to release them in Season 6. The work done here is amazing, leaps and bounds above what we've built for PvE previously in our game, and I can't wait for our players to get their hands on them. We'll be sharing more details in the coming weeks. I gotta be real, guys. I bet this is awesome. And I think the community hasn't really fully gripped the reality of this. I'm almost certain Jared in that developer live stream said that this is going to be in the battle pass. I'm seeing a lot of disagreement about that, a lot of uncertainty about the business model of it. And if that's the case, while there's a big downside to that I don't think any non-Overwatch players just gonna come buy the battle pass just for the mission, current Overwatch players will get a big bang for that battle pass buck. And it's with this that I will say Overwatch 2 is definitely not dead. The franchise will live on. The business model seems sound. What isn't okay, of course, is the lying and deceit that they had about all of this. As we said in our previous video, Keller admitted that they knew they were not going to be doing the full-fledged replayable RPG-esque hero missions, which he'll talk about next, before they launched Overwatch 2. They knew that, which is a lie that I will never forgive them for. It's a lie by omission. And they're trying to gaslight us into believing PvE is the same when they canceled the replayable part of it. All right, let's go on to talk about hero missions or hero mode. He says, on the other hand, hero missions or hero mode encompassed an in-development game mode that allowed players to upgrade individual heroes through talent trees, providing a deeply replayable version of PvE in Overwatch 2. It was a really exciting concept, something that not only resonated with players, but the team was passionate about and really dedicated to. This is the mode we're no longer moving forward with. To give you some context for this change, I'd like to talk about the past of the origins of Team 4. The Overwatch team was founded in the wake of a canceled game at Blizzard called Project Titan, which, guys, I want to remind you, back then, Blizzard didn't talk to the public. So when they had, I don't know, what was it, 7 years of development wasted on Project Titan, this same team, it didn't make headlines because they were too busy scraping in the dollars from the success of World of Warcraft at the time. So they could drink beer and hang out and fail to make a new game while just throwing money into the furnace. The only difference now is the open communication expectation for development is at a whole new level of transparency. And also, we are definitively sure that there is higher up management resource issues as well, but I'll get into that in another video. On to the blog post talking about Project Titan. That game had many facets, but at its heart, it was an FPS MMO. The Overwatch team, especially at its inception, considered itself an MMO development team. Yeah, that's right. Which is also why I think many of them didn't take too kindly when I would insult their balance decisions for a competitive PvP game, because they're good at making RPG MMO stuff. And this was like a different project for them. And you can see how there's like shortcomings in their approach, but a huge benefit in their ability for like immersion in the character, the depth of the universe, the feel of the game, all of that, they're like second to none in, and that's the benefits of them being MMO devs. Sorry, I'm giving a lot of context in this blog read, but there's so much between the lines here. Going back to the blog now, as we transitioned away from that original concept and started creating Overwatch, we included plans to one day return to that scope. We had a crawl, walk, run plan, which they do with everything. Overwatch was the crawl, a dedicated version of the PvE was the walk, and an MMO was the run. So they wanted Overwatch to be that MMO eventually. We've never had confirmation of this. He says it was built into the DNA of the team early on, and some of us consider that final game a true realization of what the original vision of Project Titan. When we launched Overwatch in 2016, we quickly started talking about what the next iteration could be. Pay close attention to that. They already were thinking of the sequel in 2016. And guys, I'll just have you know, Blizzard Entertainment is a very leaky ship. I also knew about the sequel all those years ago, way before it was announced. But I was a good boy and didn't say anything until Metro leaked it years later. It's a little crazy to think of it that way, but yeah, they were immediately planning the sequel. Aaron says, looking back at that moment, it's now obvious that we weren't as focused as we should have been on a game that was a runaway hit. Instead, we stayed focused on a plan that was years old. Work began on the PvE portion of the game, and we steadily continued shifting more and more of the team to work on those features. Things rarely go as planned in game development. We struggled to find our footing with the hero mission experience early on. Scope grew. We were trying to do too many things at once, and we lost focus. The team built some really great things, including hero talents, new enemy units, and early versions of missions, but we were never able to bring together all of the elements needed to ship a polished, cohesive experience. We had an exciting but gargantuan vision, and we were continuously pulling resources away from the live game in an attempt to realize it. I can't help but look back on our original ambitions for Overwatch and feel like we used the slogan of crawl, walk, run to continue a march forward with a strategy that just wasn't working. We had announced something audacious. Our players had high expectations for it, but we no longer felt like we could deliver it. We needed to make an incredibly difficult decision, one we knew would disappoint our players, the team, and everyone looking forward to hero missions. The Overwatch team understands this deeply. This represented years of work and emotional investment. There are wonderful, incredibly talented people and truly have a passion for our game and the work that they do. Lastly, people have wondered why this announcement came at this time. After Overwatch 2 had launched, we started refining our plans for future seasons. As those plans grew, we tried to find ways to make all of our ambitions fit together in a plan that we believed in. We couldn't, and we also knew that we couldn't go back to pulling people away from the live game in service of that original vision again. So we made the difficult decision to cut hero missions and started planning for the future. From there, we needed to update the vision of the game, gain confidence in our new players, and roll out changes to the team. The decision was the start of a long process, not the final piece of it. This has been hard for us, but as the director on this project, I have to do my best to make decisions that put the game and the community first, even when those decisions are disappointing. In this case, I had trouble pivoting away from a vision that just wasn't working, and for that, I would like to apologize to our players and our team. I'm sorry. We are focusing our efforts and our passion into making this game an ever-evolving experience. We are still committed to building many of the elements we talked about at BlizzCon 2019, including the story missions that delve into the next chapter of the Overwatch universe, new types of co-op content we haven't yet shared, and new stories that we're planning to tell both in and out of game. We're excited about this direction, and we can't wait for you to finally get to experience what we've been building. Overwatch was born from the ashes of Project Titan. It was a moment of metamorphosis for the team and the project, and something beautiful came out of it. This is another moment of change, and the future of Overwatch will be born out of it. I feel for the devs on this because I happen to know that they were definitely not given the resources, and poor management had made this even more impossible. We'll talk about that more in an upcoming video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I think the dev team secretly thinking that it could have been an MMO sort of shows you the overly ambitious, audacious ideas they were built on. But to his credit and to his detriment, that's kind of how Jeff Kaplan thought of things. So it makes sense that that was the original vision of the game, spearheaded by Jeff Kaplan, who left the company rather abruptly, I think around when it was clear that that was never going to happen, being forced to make a much smaller scope game with higher profit margins rather than the beautiful game that he wanted to make, which is a truly sad and depressing story. But I do think the bits and pieces from that campaign we're going to get is going to be good. It's just not going to redefine the gaming industry, I don't think. Aaron says that the story missions we're getting is an order of magnitude bigger than the PvE little co-op missions that we've had so far. But to me, that just means it's like a normal campaign in terms of my expectations. But a story mode for Overwatch still sounds good. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos come out. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.